Well, it looks like we have a quorum, enough people to get started here. So I just wanted to thank everyone for jumping on today. Um, Very simple conversation using automation to help your short-term rental business with your property. And got some information that I can share that just came back from a great wealth conference in Tennessee and Nashville in reference to short-term rentals. There was a lot of technology that was discussed there. But just wanted to get started. My name is Erin Kavanagh. I am a short-term rental focused real estate agent with the Kaza Group. We started a brand called Kaza Stream. Stream stands for Short-Term Rental Education, Acquisition, and Management. And I've been in real estate for 23 years. Only been doing the short-term rental thing since COVID, and really love the business. Really excited about all of the opportunities that brings this business along. Um, and honestly, technology has been one of the things that I really follow into because it really makes life easier, right? Obviously, with COVID, we have everything kind of turning into Google Meets and Zooms and spreading information via social media and things like that. So, um, just want to reach out. So, if you could in the chat, just mention where you're from, how many STRs you may have, if you're using any automation tools, so we can kind of talk about it. And then I will give you some recommendations and things like that. And hopefully, we can have my partner Corey on here shortly. He should be signing up here pretty soon. So, anyway. Um, so as far as automation goes, let's start with there's a few, four or five, you know, conversations or areas that I look into. So the first one, as far as automation, is when you get into the decision that you're going to have your first short-term rental, right? What tools are you using to help automate the search? Are you using a real estate agent? Do you have partners that help you? Usually, um, it's an interesting business because there's a lot of real estate agents out there, but not a lot of them actually understand the numbers, understand the business of short-term rentals and what it takes. So I would say find yourself a short-term rental investing type agent. Um, for me, I've reached out to several different consulting companies. So automation for me is reaching out to those consultants that have the clients. Or if you haven't reached out to a consulting firm, reach out to me. We can find a way to help you with this search. So, long story short, I'm using tools like the MLS. I'm using relationships that I've built around the United States. I'm using other real estate agents that I know of that are short-term rental focused. I am absolutely using Redfin, Zillow, all the different real estate websites out there. But that in itself, I have already set up, and the automation part of that is the feeds come to me directly. They know who I am, they know what I'm talking about, and they know what I'm looking for. And so, if you can find somebody that, it may even be a bird dog, right? What's a bird dog? A person that's out there looking for short-term rentals for you. Um, some of the Facebook groups are really great for that. They have a lot of different options for, finding property and where things come from, right? So what I notice here is investors are not just looking here in the Shenandoah Valley where I'm located. They're looking everywhere as long as the opportunity is good for them, right? So let's go out and ask. So what other operational tools are you guys using if you're short-term rental focused on finding opportunities? Anyone?
Are you talking about looking for the purchases of properties for short-term rental, or are you talking about the actual management of short-term rental?
The purchase, right? To how are you automating your searches, right, for purchase of a real estate asset?
We use the MLS, just like you said.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different. So, I'll put it into the chat, but most importantly, find a realtor that's short-term rental focused. find, their MLS access, right? They can send you a list of properties daily. Also sign up for specific areas. Realtor and Trulia and Zillow and Redfin all send daily feeds in reference to different types of properties in different areas. And then lastly, I use social media mostly. I've joined probably 15 or 20 different groups that are all short-term rental focused. So you can just search, purchasing short-term rentals, or just type in short-term rentals, and you'll find a bunch of different groups that offer some of that type of service. Okay. Um, next part of automation is actual ownership, right? So when you own an asset after the purchase, you own an asset, you want to automate your systems as best as possible. And so there's lots of different tools that you can use to automate this process. Um, so if you own just a singular property, that's great. How many are you using multiple platforms, meaning Airbnb, um, VRBO, booking.com, you know, other things like that. So if you are using any of those sources, you want to get into what we call a PMS, a property management site. There's several different programs out there. The one that I like to use the most is called Hospitable, and Hospitable has a lot of automation within that tool to actually help you manage the property. If you are going to be on multiple platforms, I recommend getting into one of these, even though it's an additional cost, $30 or $40 a month. It's one of those things where you can basically bring in all of the calendars from the different platforms into one space, and so that you're not double booking that property. Um, so anybody else using a tool like Hospitable, Lodgify, or anything like that? No? Okay. So what we'll do is I'll just put some links out there. So there's a few sites, Guesty, Lodgify, Hospitable, are the main ones that we've all talked about in the past, as far as the things that are automated inside there. What it can do for you is it does have some AI generated opportunities with guest response, referrals, different, um, what's the term that I'm looking for? Responses to reviews and things like that. So I would say, definitely look into the Hospitable program and use that tool. The next one for managing a property, not only to manage the guests, but you also are going to use something like Price Labs to help adjust your pricing strategy, right? It's called dynamic pricing. So within dynamic pricing, you're going to set your parameters, your highs and lows, and then basically let Price Labs, which connects to your PMS site, and with that tool, you're going to use it to adjust your prices accordingly that kind of match up to the competition within that area. So what Price Labs does is it runs its own algorithms and really kind of bends in the pricing to match what's going on in the area, so you're not way too high or way too low, right? Anybody using Price Labs to use in their revenue management? Okay. So I guess there's two tools right there that you guys can use to really automate the process, for helping you with your short-term rentals, right? I have received this book here. It's called The Ultimate Tech Stack Guide. We can send you a link to get that book. There's a lot of different tech tools inside there um, that will help you with that. Okay, so the next step really is the management now of your property. So with Hospitable, you're going to be using that to manage your property, as well as your cleaners, handyman, using a tool other than your website could be like Turno, where basically you're using the website to let your cleaners know that your property has been booked, and then it's time to go out there and clean the property, and when the next person comes. That all can be automated and make your life a whole lot easier. There also is a way for them to connect with your handyman and see if there's anything that needs to be done with the property, they can just send out a note and within that tool, right? Um, Now, as far as other automations than that, there's a lot of people using virtual assistants. So they hire a virtual assistant to help them manage the property, and this is usually when people are in the multiple unit situation, right? So if you get to like 10 properties, you're going to start needing some help with actual management of that property list, and making sure that everything is straight and narrow when it comes to getting everything done. Um, Anybody have any questions so far? I know I'm going kind of fast here. Maybe a quick little meeting. Wow. I guess the topic today was not as fun as we thought it would be, huh?
I have a question.
Sure.
I think for some people, they get into the short-term rental game, and then they learn about the bonus depreciation element on taxes against active W-2s. And one of those things that qualify you for that is you have to manage it yourself. And so, are any of these that you're discussing, would they basically not no longer allow you to fit that definition? I know,
Actually,
like,
no,
you're not a
this is
tax
all.
professional, but like,
Yeah. Actually, no, this is all part of the system, right? So whenever you log into your business, you're hospitable, you are actually on the clock. You're using technology to manage that property, right? So you could be, investigating price slabs and setting your parameters, and that's part of the management process. You could, not physical, but certainly you're actively working on your property. Um, for me, when you're talking about cost segregations, you have to put in, you know, a certain number of hours. What's that? 400 hours in an annual basis? Is that correct? So, if you're putting in 2 to 3 hours per week on your property, that should manage it properly. And, multiply that times, 52 weeks, and you've hit that goal. So yeah, 100 hours. There you go. So, it doesn't take a lot to get there, and at the end of the day, that does helps you definitely qualify for that bonus depreciation. Now, you can also hire a co-host or property manager to help you and still be within that 100-hour business, right? You could be managing them in some way. You just have to document it. You know what I mean? So, for me, automation really is what can I do to really push that button and bring the most value to the business. And so a lot of tools that are out there that are really helpful within technology once you learn how to use them, is the key to this whole thing. One other tool, as far as automation is concerned, is your direct booking website. So, Hospitable itself is a direct booking website. Guesty and Logify have their own forward-facing direct booking site. Um, you can then automate your social media. So a lot of people are in the business of, filling up their properties, but they don't know what to do necessarily with social media to actually help them with direct booking. So, every year in real estate, we have a specific goal of number of transactions and things like that we want to hit. And within that goal, every year is one topic is how many social posts are we going to create on an annual basis to really fund our business, right? So we all know that Facebook and Instagram are out there. TikTok is still there. And so what do you do, and what tool can you use to actually help your social media get used, right? So we have Ampy here today, and I send a lot of content to Ampy. She is my virtual assistant. She's from the Philippines. She's absolutely wonderful. And a lot of the content that you see coming out of my social channel is stuff that she's created. So, I try to focus my business on the the top 10% or the 20% of the work that needs to be there. As a real estate agent, my job is to be in connection and talking to buyers and sellers every single day. And the ancillary things, it's not that it's any less important, but there is ways for your virtual assistant to help you in marketing your property through the social channels and other sources to generate more income for you. So, um, as far as I'm concerned, you can find a virtual assistant almost anywhere. There's plenty of programs out there. Just Google short-term rental virtual assistants, and a million will pop up. Um, and then you got to build into your strategy, what is it that you're going to do, right? I have one property under contract right now that did 120,000 on Airbnb, and that was his secondary source. The other source was 380,000 in gross income generated off of Instagram and building followers and using a virtual assistant or a company called the Content House to help him build the program. Now, the house is absolutely beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I don't know about you, but when you put in a term like I can make $400,000 on a singular property, that's pretty amazing if you use the right technology, right? Um, yeah, Isabel says you also have to prove that you're the person that works in it most of the time. So, if I'm actually doing the posts, I can put my picture, I can put in my emails, I can put in, I can document it just like I do with my car, right? So if I'm traveling to and from the property that, or in between properties, that can be used as business miles, right? So I have a tool called, oh, I can't even remember now, but it basically tracks every mile as business or personal. So every single thing that I do is documented. Every post that's out there is something that I've generated and mentioned to Ampy to actually post. So, and we have co-hosts that do a lot of different work for their properties as well. Anyone else have any automated tools or things to automate for your property? Okay. So I'm gonna bring up two more technology tools that are really important in my opinion. The first one is called StayFi. I don't know if you've ever heard of StayFi before, but StayFi is a login page for your Wi-Fi. It is an actual tool that you would plug into your internet once you get to the property, and then when the guest gets to your property, they would use StayFi. There's a little QR code that they would use with their phone or their computer or whatever it is, and basically log in to StayFi. Now, to do that, they just need to drop in their first name, last name, and email address. Now, for me, that's extremely important. Why do I want their email address? Well, now I can retarget them and market to them on other platforms, including an email campaign to kind of generate rebookings or other bookings from that same person that stayed at your property once before. The other tool that's kind of important for management, this one is more decibel or noise related. It's really a cool tool, but it doesn't register your actual words, but the actual sound, how high the sound is. So if you have a property that's in a community that has certain requirements about, being quiet in certain times, which most do, and you have a guest that's got a party going on, you want to know that beforehand because you can be shut off by that, governing body if you're not managing that property properly, right? So this is a tool that's going to register the decibel level, and then you can reach out and notify the guest, hey, it's time to turn it down or turn it off, and know what's going on within your property. There's some other things that you can use, ring cameras, right? Know when people are getting to your property. I would only put them on the exterior front door when they show up. You can't put them inside or around other personal areas of the property because the Airbnb will not allow that, right? Um, so what I'm using, and just kind of do some research. If you have questions in reference to different technologies, we're using all kinds of different tools to really manage the properties effectively. We're using virtual assistants. We're also, using different, bird dogs and feeders to find us property as well. So Um, you know, when it comes to technology, that's only going to help you get stronger, get faster, find more properties that are performing, especially if you can see stuff. A couple other tools that I've used. One is called Batch Leads. Batch Leads is a subscription-based service that usually you go in there, you search for a certain parameter like absentee owner, length of time that they've actually owned that property. That might be a tired landlord. And so some of those tools are really important for me to use when I'm trying to find off-market properties for particular clients that don't see what they're looking for, but I don't want them to go into a different direction. Another tool out there that's a free site is called PropWire. PropWire is the same type of service. The difference is they only get paid when they do the actual search for the client or the owner's name and phone number, right? So that skip tracing piece of it is where they get paid. So Batch Leads is a paid for upfront subscription. You get the whole kit and caboodle. You can find realtors, you can find properties. PropWire is more finding the actual properties that you could use in your search and then start making phone calls to individuals out there. So, um, today's a quick little session. Not much to this. Anybody have any other questions?
Oh, I guess I didn't know this. My friend's still on, but how do you guys deal with like middle of the night type requests? Like I'm out of soap.
Yes, great question. So, usually our property managers will handle that. I don't get that one too much, honestly, because we have a stack inside an inventory list inside our properties, and anytime our cleaner goes there, they're letting me know. So if it's at that simple of a request, then I just give them the door code to the owner's closet and let them go. Toilet paper, towels, things like that. Usually you would build into your property management plan what you want to keep on hand. Like sheets and towels, how many should you have per guest, per stay, right? So it's really one of those things that are built into the property management plan based on the turnovers and the persons that you're having work for you. And hold on, let me give you the name of that decibel reading use. The one that I've used in the past is Um, this one here, it's called Minute IM, or excuse me, MINUT.com. MINUT.com. Yeah, Ryan's got a question in reference to tools for finding cameras. Ryan, I haven't investigated that at all. Um, yes, guests do crazy things, that's for sure. Um, but at the end of the day, I don't have any tools like that for sure.
What are some things that you have to set up before your booking goes live? And then what are some things you set up after your booking goes live?
So when you're putting your listing out on Airbnb, right? You should have a soft launch, have a friend or a
Mhm.
family member stay at the property, get their opinion as to what's going on, right? So you want to have a conversation with your cleaners. You want to interview the right people to get you started, and they will have some experience in the fact that they will already have other properties that they're working with. So they will know how many towels, how many sets of sheets, um, stuff like that just before you get there. But I would absolutely have a soft launch of some kind. Get the experience of other people in your world
Mhm.
before you launch it, and then you can then really kind of fix anything that's kind of wrong beforehand. Like, sometimes you buy a property, the microwave works one day, and then when they get there, it's not working, right? You don't
Yeah.
want to go live and have that situation. So, that's the most important, is to use your technology, your guest experience first. Hold on one
Mm.
second. My son is asking me a question. Hold on. Anyway, and then after the guest experience, right? So we're going to use AI. If they've generated a great review for us, we're going to use AI to in within Hospitable. There's a button that you push, and it just gives an automated response. You can type out the first few, but then AI will start learning what your responses are to certain reviews and things like that.
Mm.
If there is an issue at the house during their stay, there's a button that you can push that notifies the cleaner or your handyman or something like that too within the tool, so that you can really be on top of that situation as quickly as possible.
Mm.
The part of the management that gets you that super host status is how quickly you respond to situations, right?
Mm.
So it's really important that you are staying up on it as best you can. I understand middle of the night stuff pops up, but hopefully you've got a property that doesn't require a lot of that. So I'm taking as many forward facing steps as I can. I'm going to have extra supplies on hand. I'm going to make sure that I have enough towels and sheets. I'm going to make sure that my cleaners know what's going on, so they're watching when we have bookings and things like that, and using those different tools to get them out there as quickly as we possibly can.
Mm. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, feel free to reach out. We can certainly continue the conversation later on. But most importantly, is if you're looking to start managing your properties or finding new STRs, reach out to the right people. That's probably the easiest automation that there can be. At this point, I am a short-term rental agent focused in the Shenandoah Valley. I know several different areas that have short-term rentals focused agents as well. And so when we have an opportunity, say you wanted to move, into the Smoky Mountains, I have 3 agents right there ready to serve you that only do short-term rentals as investments as well. So find a partner, find somebody that knows what they're talking about, find that individual that's really going to lead you in the right direction with no financial backing. I don't need any money from you to provide you information. That's part of my gig, is I provide information for free, right? Um, Now, what you choose to do with that is up to you, and you may have to pay for certain things, but it's a great start or a referral source. I like to be what they call a one-stop shop. Like, so if you came to me, I can help you, teach you, I can help you buy one, and then I can help you with either revenue management or point you in the right direction to the right revenue manager or property management co-hosting scenario. So, it's truly finding that right human being that's going to help you. And I use a lot of AI in my business as well for marketing, giving me ideas as to where's the next hottest location for short-term rentals, and looking at details like, in the Shenandoah Valley, did you know that there's over 2 million visitors coming to the Shenandoah National Forest each year? Um, Information like that is provided through ChatGPT, or you can Google different areas. But what are the amenities around Luray, Virginia versus Shenandoah, Virginia? Using AI, I can generate a lot of information from that, and then go and investigate those on my own personally, right?
I have a question, Erin. My
Sure.
husband and I were trying to just narrow down on a rental property.
Okay.
We have like a few criteria,
Sure.
because like we're in California and we would just ideally like for it to be in California, and ideally, like less than 600K,
Okay.
and something that would you say like having like 10% cash on cash return is a good like standard, or do you think it's like not?
Yeah, great question. So I think it's in our area, we run at about 17 to 20%.
Okay.
Now, that in itself, I've narrowed that down to specific types of properties, right? So in the Shenandoah Valley, and this is, I can help you find an agent that's in that area that will know this information for you as well. But, depending on the California market, right? Price point is important, right? So I have my own personal Airbnb is a 2-bed, 1-bath A-frame. It sleeps
Mm-hmm.
6. It's 1,000 square foot. We bought it for 300,000 and we put in about 50 grand into getting it ready
Mm.
for market. Last year, it did about 76,000 in gross revenue. This year, we're on
Nice.
pace for about 80,000. So in that particular case, it's a little closer to 20%. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I usually tell people is look at your expenses. What are the things that you can control, right? So
Mm.
when I say expenses, first and foremost, what is the mortgage payment,
Mm-hmm.
right? What is if there's flood insurance, what is the electrical cost? What is the internet cost? What is the trash service? Find out all of the very specific costs,
Mm-hmm.
expenses. Take all of those, add them up together, divide it by 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now you've got your baseline as to what I need to generate, and then go look at Airbnb.
Yeah.
Go out to AirDNA and then see, am I even close? Right? Does the occupancy rate for my area match at $200 a night, match what I need to do as far as a baseline to get to my just to be cash flow even, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm taking the very specific dollars and cents, and now I'm obviously averaging because I don't know that individual property's electric bill, but I can tell you what 1,000 square foot property looks like. It's about $200 a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know the internet costs $100 a month. I know my basic cost. Do I have water and sewer bill versus a well and septic, right? So there's a lot of different variables there. Take those costs, add them all up, divide that by 30 days. That becomes your baseline price. Then go to the
Yeah.
market, look at AirDNA, Airbnb, VRBO, find the properties that you know, even if you're looking at a 4-bed, 3-bath property, you can tell if it's 50% occupied, 60% occupied, and different tools like that, right? So
Yeah.
I'm taking the exact cost, divide that by 30 days. That becomes my bottom line, um, nightly rate. And then what does 10% look like? Does 20% look like? And then, just at using 50% occupied, right? I'm only trying to figure out, if I can just get weekends filled up, I'm doing pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I can build in other strategies, like when a guest books for the weekend on Saturday evening, are you reaching out to that guest through automation to ask them if they would like to stay an additional night to, increase your revenue? Then do you have a property that's capable of being a 1 night stay, or does that cost you too much money with your cleaning service, right? So in our
Mm.
property, it's very small. It's 1,000 square feet. So, the first step is on Friday evening. If we don't have Monday or Tuesday books, we're dropping the rate on Monday and Tuesday by 8 to 10%. Try to fill those nights. If they
Mm.
are not filled by doing just that, I'm then messaging the client that's in there already and see if they
Mm-hmm.
want to stay an additional night. And then the third thing is I'm sending out a Facebook, Instagram post to get an additional night filled, right?
Mm.
So I'm active in my processes, but it's pretty much push a button, the messages go out, so they are automated like that. But for me, I like to know what I can control. I can't
Mm-hmm.
control when somebody books my property other than what I can do to put it out there. So if I know my baseline costs, I know that the area itself, if you use AirDNA, for example, you can go in and whatever city you're looking in California, it'll tell you what's the average occupancy rate right on the front screen,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then use that number to with your exact costs to come up
Mm-hmm.
with your baseline and then go, okay, now what? Right? And then build in your 10% and 20% on top of that. And does that match the market?
Yeah, yeah, it's just been really hard. Like we spend so much time on AirDNA. It's just
Sure.
hard to find a property that fits our criteria in California. So yeah.
Understood. Well, maybe you check out a different location, right? You know, something
Yeah.
that's not too far away. I know you probably want to stay closer to your own personal residence. Is that correct?
Yeah, we just feel like out of state will stress us out like a lot.
Unless you find the right property manager or co-host, right? So yeah, there's,
Mhm.
I totally understand that. What market are you in?
So like we're like where do we live?
Yes.
Yeah, we live in Los Angeles.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so how far out are you looking to go with your property, and can you find something that's 600,000 in that area?
No, we cannot. Like we're totally fine with anywhere in California. We've been looking at like Big Bear, like the mountainside, and all the real estate people we've talked to were like, "Oh yeah, it's like way oversaturated. You're not gonna find anything that'll work because you need to have like a solid business plan." And we're like, what kind of solid business plan do we need? So we're just kind of lost. Yeah.
All right, so this is a great conversation. I want to double click on this just a little bit. So I had the same conversation with an individual the other day.
Okay.
Um, so as far as a business plan goes, so do you have your lender letter, your pre-approval ready to go?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the real estate agent is now telling you that there are too many properties in the area. You might as well not come in. It's just going to be too saturated, or whatever the term is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I had this exact conversation yesterday. This gentleman is buying a 4-bed, 3-bath property that's 1,700 square feet
Mm,
in an area. It's a ski resort in our area. It's a small resort, but there's a lot of short-term rentals there that are 6, 7, 8 beds. Lots of different 3-bed, 2 baths. So he's in this window of properties that don't exist,
mhm,
right? So what can you do
mhm.
to make, and again, this goes back to what can you control versus what other people do, right?
Yeah.
So in our area, what I will tell him is there's a lot of properties that are old and dated, right?
Mm,
So if there's old and dated properties that are out there already on Airbnb and they're producing, what is the avatar that you could target that would actually fill in that little crack in the market that's not going to get other people interested, right?
mm.
So he's all like, I'm so worried it's going to be oversaturated and we're not going to be able to perform because we just don't have enough. And I said, well,
Yeah.
stop. Let's
Mm,
take the property that we have invested. So he bought a $325,000 property.
mhm,
It needs a full renovation. The
mhm,
property itself will probably produce an ARV of about 550, 575. At the end of the day, I
mm,
think he could get away with doing a very minor renovation. And I say minor, it's still $100,000.
mhm.
But then he could, because it's a unique octagon style house with a dome roof with a big skylight in the middle.
Wow.
Yeah. So look for the unique property, right?
Mhm.
Then once you have the unique property, what's unique about it? Is it in the mountains? Does it have a view? Is it along the river or next to a water source? Does it have a pool? Does it have a hot tub? All of the amenities that are around you, that you can copycat from other properties, but also include into yours. Now, in this particular case, I showed him another property that was fully renovated. It has not sold yet, but in my opinion, this is what people are looking for. They may not have an updated property that they're in, but they want to stay in a really nice place. So
Mm,
go into a property that may need some renovations that are lower price points and see if
mhm,
you can build into that if you have enough budget for it.
mm.
Right? That's the first step. The second, paint, wallpaper, murals, really cheap. What do they call neon lights? They're not neon any longer, but you know what I mean, right? You can get
Yeah.
them anywhere. Like what string lights. There's a lot of different things that you can do in a property and outside of a property that can really turn the corner and making a property look, and I'm going to use a term, but make it look sexy, right?
Mhm.
When I talk to people about buying an Airbnb, this is like dating, right? There's a bunch of different
Yeah.
internet apps that you can swipe left or swipe right.
Yeah.
And, so what do you have inside that property that's going to really generate the right targeted visitor for you, right?
Mm,
So forgive me, but like there are different property styles out there, but I'm 52 years old. Um, I'm not a single dad. I have a stepdad, but my kids are older, so I'm an empty nester. That's the term I'm looking for. So,
Mhm.
long story short, I'm looking to go to places with my wife, and so the places that we reserve are not
Mhm.
big. They're not,
Mhm.
they just are small and intimate, one or two bedrooms. They have enough kitchen amenities for us, and then they
Mhm.
have outdoor space that we can enjoy, meaning fire pit, um, hot tubs, barrel saunas, things like that,
Mm.
right? So, who is it that you're trying to impress?
Yeah.
Right. So any good marketing person, then I can say, okay, now I know what I'm looking for. And then my Instagram turns into that, and my social media channel turns into that, and then my conversations turn into that. Right.
Mm.
So I think if you really figure out who your target avatar is, instead of going, oh, I've got 600,000 and just who's out there, that's too hard. I think if you say, I'm looking for this thing, right?
Mhm.
It could be a two bed, one bath, and then it's completely in the woods. There's nothing around it, and you added a hot tub, and then you become the one that's booked the most.
Mm. Yeah, I guess like we are targeting people like that, like just like you and your wife,
Yeah,
because that's like our price point right now.
sure.
And yeah, we want it small, intimate, romantic, all of that. But like the people that come to Big Bear are like one of the markets we were looking in California, it's like a mountain thing. Um, like they're mostly like you said, like in the 40s and 50s, but like with families, possibly like grandkids. So it's like, oh, but if it doesn't like fit the general market avatar, does it matter if we have a target avatar and like would it work even if we cater to like people like you guys? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I would say it can, right? So there are times where my wife and I get together and we bring in our families, my daughter's kids, my kids and their kids, the grandkids, right? We bring
Mhm.
them all together and we go on a group vacation. That might be another way to handle it.
Yeah.
If you in Big Bear, does every property have a swimming pool or no?
Yeah, it does. Mostly like because people come during the winter for the ski slopes. They like, hot tub and like sauna, like you mentioned.
Yeah. So, is there a way that you could offer or buy? So, I don't know the area, but in our area, we have this place called Massanutten Resort, and they have a uh, place, right? And you can
Mm-hmm.
buy a pass
Mm-hmm.
for your property and leave them in the house, right? So, you get 4 or 5
Oh.
passes for that ski resort, and let the guests use them as long as they bring them back. And obviously, you'll know, but you can always get the badge or itself replaced if they lost it. But buy a plan where you can offer the services of the ski resort for free for booking with you, right? There's other ways to bring in guests that are more valuable, if you
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying, right? So swimming pools, hot tubs, barrel saunas, cold plunge. In our area, we have a really awesome mountain bike place where it's actually a ski spot slope in the winter, but they bring their mountain bikes up the mountain on the chairlift during the summer and then ride down. So having a bike wash might be important. Having an EV charging station might be important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, really just adding those things to the property that are, very easy to do. But then, you got to surely put the right photographs out there. If you don't have good photographs, the whole thing is off. Because like the internet, dating site, they're just going to swipe on by you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, I never thought about like buying a pass for like you know, I didn't know
Yeah.
like you could do that.
Yeah, you could certainly do that. All right, there are ways to do that. There are also other systems out there. For example, there's a tool. It's a service actually. It's called Greet Well,
Mm-hmm.
and Greet Well actually, you can go out to your community and hire or be in relationships with chefs, masseuse, um, face painters, blah blah blah. Right, and have that as a service. Now the guest would go in and they would click on the link and then they would see the list of services that are there.
Mhm.
So for example, I had one client that knew that the guest was coming to their house for their anniversary, so they had a florist show up and put rose petals all around the bedroom and through the hot tub and all that stuff so that they would have a magical experience while they showed up, right?
Wow. Mhm.
So there are certain services that the guest can pay for on their own that you
Mhm.
offer to them, like discounts to canoe rental or hot air balloon rides or whatever the thing is, right? You can
Mhm.
then the guest books that on their own and they get the discount for being with you, and you get a little benefit of a commission for selling that service for somebody else through your
Mm.
property. So Greetwell is that tool. There was another one where it's actually, this is as simple as it gets, but the trash can that's at the top of the hill at the house, right? All the food, all the trash goes in there, and then there's a service that actually can come and wheel the trash can down to the street
Mm.
because the guests don't want to do it and the cleaners don't necessarily do it. So
Mm.
there's, different things too, but look into what marketing things that are not being done in your area and that you should add to it.
Mm.
And then there's all kinds of other different avatars out there that, depending on the rules and regulations in your area, you just have to look and see where are the holes and the cracks and use ChatGPT. What's the best producing Airbnb in Big Bear Lake? Find out who that is and see what it is. And then can I match that with my budget?
Mm. Yeah. It's usually like the really big ones, lots of rooms and looks very nice.
Yeah, so the big properties cater to families, multiple families. This is the same thing that we see at the beach, right?
Mhm.
You're gonna see a bigger property, it's gonna cost you $20,000 a week, right? All
Yeah.
I know is I can't afford $20,000 a week, although I
Yeah.
would love to stay at that property, right?
Uh-huh.
And even if I could afford it, would I actually do it? I don't know. But I can afford $500 or $600 a night for a really intimate stay. And so I know now that, if I'm targeting a young couple or small family that want to come to Big Bear, they don't have that budget.
Mhm.
But I can then fill in the blank. Maybe it's a condo and
Mhm.
they just want to come and stay. And then you have some great amenities inside the condo. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That's super helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pick your target avatar to match your budget first. That's very important.
Well, it's people like you and your wife.
Yeah, so go on to ChatGPT,
Yeah.
right? And then use terms like short-term rental, empty nesters, things like that. Or if you want, drop your email into the chat here. I will do that, and then I'll send you a little blurb, see what it says to me, right? It's all keyword
Mhm.
prompts. So, if you just get deep with Chat GPT, it's pretty cool. And then it searches the web and puts it all in one spot for you so you don't have to spend a lot of time investigating. That's an automation
Yeah.
tool.
That'd be amazing. How do I like private message you or
Yeah,
yeah.
so Ampy's got my contact information up in the chat here.
Oh,
Um,
got it.
yep.
Okay. I'll email you.
Yeah, just shoot me an email and we're happy to help you and I will run the chat GPT for you. But I would say find that target avatar and really go after it. There's, different types of markets out there for sure. But if
Mhm.
you're trying to get into a place that's more expensive and you want to find a little niche, let's help you do that. Use GPT to figure it
Mhm.
out and then build from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. I'll email you right now.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining. And if there's any questions, feel free to reach out. We're here to help you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Ampy.